All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling one of the toughest, most controversial claims in all of Christianity. But look, this isn't going to be a debate. Think of it more like an architectural tour. We're going to explore the hidden logic, the complex narrative blueprint that holds up the claim that Jesus is the only way to God. So let's grab our hard hats and look at the actual blueprints. So let's just put the question right out there on the table. To a lot of people today, this claim just sounds incredibly arrogant, doesn't it? It sounds exclusive, even kind of offensive. In a world that really values pluralism, how could any one path claim to be the only one? It's a totally fair question. And yeah, the usual answers you hear, they often feel kind of thin, right? And this is exactly why. Just quoting a Bible verse is like pointing to a giant skyscraper and saying, because it's there. It doesn't explain the foundation, the steel beams, the physics that keep the whole thing from crashing down. So today, we're not just admiring the building from the outside. No, we're going down into the basement. We're going to unroll the original architectural plans and see why this structure was built this way, and why, according to its own logic, it couldn't have been built any other way. Okay, so first things first. Before we can even begin to understand the solution, we have to get our heads around the sheer scale of the problem. And according to the biblical worldview, the problem is way bigger and frankly way weirder than what most of us learned in Sunday school. The story kicks off with a series of rebellions, and each one makes things worse. You've got the one we all know about in the Garden of Eden. Then you've got this more obscure, kind of strange one in Genesis 6 with these divine beings called the sons of God. But the one that is absolutely crucial for our story today, it's the Tower of Babel. In this worldview, Babel isn't just about God confusing languages. It's a moment of cosmic divorce, a divine judgment where God basically says, all right, you nations don't want me, fine, and he disinherits them. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Check this out. The textual evidence for this idea is fascinating. If you look at the older manuscripts of the Bible, like the Septuagint or the Dead Sea Scrolls, Deuteronomy 32 says that God divided up humanity according to the number of the sons of God. But in later manuscripts, that gets changed to the sons of Israel. And that one little change, it completely buries the original meaning, which was that God actually placed these disinherited nations under the authority of other divine beings from his heavenly council. And what this does is it totally reframes the entire human story. The problem isn't just that people are sinners. It's that the world is literally occupied territory. Those sons of God who were supposed to govern the nations, they went rogue. They got greedy, demanded worship for themselves, and became corrupt, hostile spiritual warlords. So in this view, humanity isn't just lost. We're prisoners of war, stuck behind enemy lines in a huge cosmic turf war. So if the problem is a cosmic occupation by hostile divine beings, well, that completely changes the job description for the hero, doesn't it? It means you need a very, very specific kind of rescuer. I mean, think about it. Who could possibly solve a problem like that? A good teacher? A wise prophet? Some powerful angel? Nope. According to this logic, none of them would even come close. To take down divine powers, you need someone who is also divine. You need someone who outranks them. And this is where we run into a really fascinating and often overlooked idea called binitarianism. The basic idea is that even within the super strict monotheism of the Old Testament, you actually have two distinct figures who share the one single identity of God Yahweh. There's one who's invisible, transcendent, up in the heavens. And then there's another, a visible figure, who shows up on earth and interacts directly with people. And once you see it, you see this guy everywhere in the Old Testament. He's the angel of Yahweh in the burning bush who says, I am the God of your father. He's the one who literally wrestles with Jacob all night. He shows up as this divine commander to guys like Joshua and Gideon. The point is, this isn't some New Testament invention. It's a deep, recurring pattern right in the heart of the Hebrew Bible. So, here's the deal. The rescuer had to be the second Yahweh figure, fully divine, with the authority and the muscle to take on these cosmic powers. But, and this is just as important, he also had to be human. Why? Because God's original plan was always for humans to be his partners in running the show. God didn't just scrap that plan. He doubled down on it by becoming human himself to win the victory from the inside. Okay, now fast forward to John the Baptist. His arrival isn't just some historical detail. No, in this framework, it's a huge cosmic signal. Think of it like a divine press conference announcing the council is in session, the final mission to take back the world is officially a go. All right, so we've got our occupied world. We've got our uniquely qualified rescuer. Now we get to the climax of the whole story, the cross. But here's the twist. It's not a tragedy. It's not Plan B. It's a brilliant, top-secret military operation. The Apostle Paul basically hands us the secret decoder ring for this whole thing. He says that the rulers of this age, those same hostile spiritual powers, they had no clue what God was really up to. If they had understood, he says, they never would have crucified the Lord of glory. That one verse unlocks everything. From their point of view, they were totally winning. They see this guy claiming to be God, a major threat to their whole operation, and they just use the human systems already in place, the Roman government, the religious leaders, to get rid of him. Simple as that. See, the real plan was hidden in plain sight. All those prophecies about the Messiah, they were like thousands of tiny mosaic tiles scattered throughout the scriptures. The enemy could see the individual pieces, but they couldn't put the full picture together. They just couldn't decode the blueprint. So what they thought was their ultimate victory, the moment they finally crushed Yahweh's champion, that's not what happened at all. The entire story is about to do a 180. It wasn't a victory, it was an ambush. By killing the one person in the universe who was both God and human, they pulled the trigger on the very mechanism of their own defeat. They walked right into a trap that had been set since the foundation of the world. So the decisive battle is won, but just winning one battle doesn't end the war, right? Now comes the next phase, actually reclaiming all that occupied territory, piece by piece. And this is just a brilliant illustration of the strategy. Remember Babel way back at the beginning? That's when the nations were scattered, divided, languages all messed up. Now look at Pentecost. It is a direct, point-for-point reversal of Babel. Nations are gathered, not scattered. Languages are understood, not confused. Humanity starts being reunited, not divided. The reconquest is launched by perfectly undoing the event that started the occupation. And this completely reframes something like the Great Commission. It's not just a friendly suggestion to go share some nice ideas. It is the strategic marching orders for a full-scale invasion. Jesus kicks it off by declaring victory. All authority has been given to me. The authority the enemy stole has been legally won back. Then he launches the ground invasion. Go, make disciples of all nations. Every single person who pledges allegiance to Jesus is like a soul crossing enemy lines, one more piece of reclaimed territory for the true king. Okay, so let's put it all together. We've walked through the whole blueprint, this cosmic problem, the one-of-a-kind rescuer, and the strategic plan for reconquest. Now we can finally go back and answer that first question. And here's the bottom line. According to this entire worldview, the claim that Jesus is the only way isn't about being religiously narrow-minded or arrogant. It's about the precision of a rescue mission. The logic is, given the very specific problem, a cosmic occupation by divine beings, the solution had to be someone with a unique, one-of-a-kind resume, fully divine to have authority over the enemy, and fully human to win the victory for humanity. And that unique combination, the argument goes, only fits one person in all of history. So we've taken the tour. We've seen the hidden framework, the logic that holds the whole thing up, from Babel all the way to the cross. In the end, the claim isn't about the narrowness of a religion, but the incredible precision of a surgeon's scalpel, designed for one very specific, very cosmic operation. And so the real question for you isn't whether you agree with it or not, it's just this. Now that you've seen the architecture, how does that change the way you see the building,